When do the state governments take the recourse of actually confrontation with the union government on the reasons of language, on the reasons of culture? Normally, it is said that the state governments take rake up these issues when they are actually indecisive, when they have not performed, when there is huge unemployment in the state, when the state is very poor, or there are very depressing situations in the state. Normally, under such circumstances, to actually divert the attention of the masses from the bigger problems, the state governments take a confrontation attitude with the union government. But can it be said about the states in the south? Fact remains, South India today is the most developed part of India. The states there are economic powerhouses, be it Andhra, be it Telangana, be it Karnataka, be it Tamil Nadu. Kerala and Tamil Nadu have set actually the bar in human development indices in entire India. They are very famous, rightly so, for their social welfare policies. So when these states confront the union government on linguistic basis, on cultural basis, there must be a point to it. Fact remains, these states in South India actually have a different trajectory. They come from the Dravidian lineage. North India, as we know, is Aryan. Coming from the Dravidian lineage, they have a distinct linguistic and cultural heritage, which even predates the coming of the Aryans to India. And as such, there have been many movements in South India against Hindi imperialism, and they continue to till day. Hello viewers, Vanakkam Namaskaram to all of you. My name is Amit, and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, Labour History and Geopolitics. Friends, fact remains, when the British came to India, their administrative language was English. And it is said that as regards English, the South Indians were more proficient. They used to learn very easily. They used to adapt very easily. And as such, they actually occupied the positions in power. And North Indians were left behind. Reverse, when India gained independence, Hindi was sought in to be put in as an sole official language of the Union because they wanted to actually change this scenario. Change the scenario that if Hindi is put in between, the South Indians will be actually left aside. The North Indian native population would come into the posts of power as we see today. In union government, most of the ministers and top bureaucracy is basically natively Hindi speaking. So the power is concentrated in the hands of the North Indians. And what do the South Indian states fight for? They fight for their justifiable allocation of resources. They fight for their representation. I'll give you a fact, and the fact is, till 2013, Tamil was not recognized as an official language in railways, despite the fact that it is the oldest classical language in the world. It is spoken by around 7 crore people as per that census of 2011, and it is among the 22 recognized scheduled languages in the constitution. In 2017, what the government did was that it's actually announced that the exams for banking will be conducted solely in Hindi. Now, pushback came from South India, from Karnataka, from Kerala, from Tamil Nadu, Telangana, and Andhra, and the union government had to take back its decision. So this was actually a step by a union government to impose Hindi hegemony on other linguistic states of India. Fast forward come to 2022, the Parliamentary Committee on Official Languages recommended increasing the use of Hindi in government communication and public sector. Now, it again received a pushback from Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu, as it always does, because these states have a pride. They have a pride in their language. For the Tamils, Tamil is not just a language, it is their identity. For them, Tamil language is their mother. And fast forward, when we come to 2014, and in 2014, we all know who came to power. BJP came to power, Mr. Modi became the Prime Minister of India. And as we all know, they have one agenda, and the agenda is about Hindutva. And as regards this Hindutva agenda, they are very clear on one thing. The one thing that they are very clear about is that Hindu identity is the basis of India, and Hindi is the medium to take this identity forward. So they are trying to manipulate all the organizations, all the institutions, so that they can subvert the rights of the states and actually push back against the unity and diversity of this nation and impose Hindi imperialism on the entire Indian nation. And for this purpose, they have invested millions of rupees, billions of rupees, and they are encouraging Hindi in all the government institutions, organizations. They are actually asking for the translation of all the government papers into Hindi language. And this is being vehemently opposed by the states in the south. The reasons I've told you before. Anna had given a very beautiful statement. He had said, why should be a language which is spoken by 40% of the population be imposed on the remaining 60%? So this is the stand of Tamil Nadu since independence. And why is this stand? I have given you a brief background of the topic. Now we will go into the reasons. Fact remains, when the independence movement was going on, Mahatma Gandhi, on a broader scale in the freedom movement, actually tasked the women workers to go into villages, to go into towns, to go into cities and teach Hindi. In the Madras presidency, Durgabai Deshmukh and Ambujani Amal were at the forefront of teaching Hindi to the populace in the cities, towns and villages. But then there comes a a certain man by the name of Erode Venkatasamy Ramasamy Periyar. He formed the self-respect movement. And see, this issue about Hindi and regional languages is not just about a language. It's not just a language issue. The Tamils or the South Indians are not against learning of Hindi. What they are against is the imposition of Hindi. And there's a difference. See, learning a language should be one's prerogative. And see, the fact remains, does Hindi learning actually remove the social injustices? Does it remove the problems of unemployment? Does it remove the problems of poverty? And this is what Periyar also questioned. He said that, see, this Hindi domination of learning Hindi, he actually took it on a broader scale. Hindi agitation was actually part of a big broader agitation against the oppressive hierarchical structure of the Hindu religion. You see how the people were actually oppressed on the name of caste in Hindu religion at that time. We all know the facts. And he said that the Hindu religion not only gives its adherents a religious identity, but it also gives them the identity of Dravidas. It gives them the identity of Pariyars. It gives them the identity of Shudras. And what Periyar did was that he took all these identities together, inferior identities together, and actually took them into the political landscape of Tamil Nadu. While Congress at that time was harping about the freedom from British, for Periyar, the freedom had to come from within, from these social injustices. He talked about caste, he talked about religion, and he actually spoke against Hinduism due to these oppressive practices which are prevalent in our religion. He brought all these identities to the fore and talked about caste, religion, culture, language, women's rights. When Druid Kasgam was actually born, the institution actually talked about women's rights. It actually talked about the ill institution where people were not allowed to go into the temples. temple entry was barred for the lower castes. And Hindi also was actually uh, taken as a social evil. And that is where we see that the 1938 protest, Hindi agitation protest, took place in Tamil Nadu. So this was actually, see, what Hindi brings about is, see, there is an ideological battle actually around here. It's not just a mere opposition. It is an ideological battle between Tamil and Hindi for the very simple reason that Hindi represents a certain power structure. Hindi is being used as a medium of power by certain social groupings who actually treat the marginalized and linguistic minorities as inferior, and they want to control them through Hindi. They want to implement Hindi in these states, then they want to control the national Tamil pride, Tamil identity, and gain the levers of power in the great Tamil state. And Hindi, as we all know, is associated with Sanskrit, and Sanskrit historically has been actually linked with Brahminical, uh, Brahminical scriptures that perpetuated caste and gender discriminations. So it is like that when you are bringing Hindi to Tamil Nadu, you are bringing Aryan domination to Tamil Nadu, you are bringing Hindu domination to Tamil Nadu, and it doesn't set well with the people of Tamil Nadu because they are fiercely resistant and they are immensely proud of their Tamil language, Tamil culture. So this does not go down well with the people of Tamil Nadu because they believe that it will actually, the Hindi as a vehicle will actually oppress the marginalized communities as Sanskrit did in the past. So they will be actually reduced to the status of second class citizens in their state, and the social and political orders of Tamil Nadu will again go into the hands of the Aryans, which is not acceptable to the Tamil population. As regards English, when people say that you are willing to learn English but you are not willing to learn Hindi, see, English is a scientific language, it is a logical language, it is a developmental language for a person. And no state in India, nobody in India can use English to rule over others. Tell me a union government or a state government which actually seeks to hegemonize other state on the basis of using English. There you won't find any example. Hindi, on the whole, is Tamil scholars actually believe, Dravidian scholars, that Hindi is inadequate language for modern and progressive thought. They believe that it lacks the intellectual and scientific temperament necessary for societal advancement. So what these people see, Hindi, what it does is actually, I'll tell you a very beautiful thing and a very alarming thing on the other part. Actually, Hindi is an unsuitable language for competitive examinations. Whatever, however well a person learns Hindi, if he is a non-native speaker of Hindi, he will be always at a disadvantage. And as a result, when the union government exams or other public sector enterprises exams are conducted, a systematic barrier will come where the people coming from the native Hindi states will always have an upper hand and the echelons of power will always be invested in their hands. It puts the non-Hindi states at a disadvantage. So what did the Dravidian ideologues do? They actually invested in Tamil, and Tamil now was not merely a tool of communication. It became a language of empowerment. It became a language of societal development. And the results are today for all of us to see. Tamil Nadu boasts the highest, one of the highest per capita GDPs, per capita incomes in India. Tamil Nadu records the growth rate of 11.19%, which no Indian state today till has achieved. Hindi, the people who actually speak in favor of Hindi, they say that it is actually a vehicle for unity, it is a vehicle for actually national integration. But for the Tamils, it is a medium through which the North Indian lobby, the Aryan lobby, wants to control the state of Tamil Nadu and the entire South. And fact remains, it is not just about a language. It is about the balance of power. It's about regional identity. And it's about the right to speak in one's mother tongue. So friends, this was my small video. I hope you liked it. And if you did, kindly like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel, Layman History and Geopolitics. And it's a humble request. My community is not building up. It has stagnated. Kindly make efforts to join my channel as a member. My membership fees are pretty simple. You can spend 150 rupees on 2 cups of tea or 4 cups of tea with your friends. Please make out some efforts to join my channel as a member so that I'll be encouraged to do more work to serve you. So friends, this was all from me. Vanakkam, namaskar to all of you. Thank you.